Caitlin Clark finally addressed the moment everyone's been talking about, and her reaction after the Puerto Rico game caught a lot of people off guard. Just one day earlier, she had already shaken up the FIBA record books in her Team USA debut against Senegal, instantly becoming the center of attention. When Clark stepped into the arena for the next game, the spotlight followed her everywhere. Even the Puerto Rico coach's daughter was spotted in the crowd, proudly holding a sign supporting Clark. Cameras tracked her every move, and FIBA had already started labeling her as the face of the entire tournament. The buzz around her was impossible to ignore. But once the game tipped off, things didn't unfold the way many expected. The offensive rhythm designed by Kara Lawson and Stephanie White suddenly stalled. Plus, Kalia Copper began taking matters into her own hands, playing aggressive hero ball, while Angel Reese consistently denied Clark the ball, making it difficult for her to get involved in the offense. What should have been a smooth performance quickly turned into a chaotic and frustrating stretch of basketball. Yet after everything that happened on the court, it was Caitlin Clark's response that truly stood out. Instead of showing frustration or pointing fingers, what she said afterward only made fans respect her even more. It was the kind of reaction that reminds people why so many are rooting for her in the first place. Now the big question remains, will Team USA start treating Caitlin Clark the way fans believe she deserves? Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Yeah, I thought the game was a little clunky. I felt like we probably didn't play our best. I thought Paige played really well, but it felt good. I mean, I obviously probably didn't shoot it as well as I would have liked. I think their zone kind of threw us off. I thought it kind of slowed down our pace a little bit. We didn't get as much in transition, so I think if like another team plays on, just continue to play with a lot of pace and don't let them set these out.
Caitlin Clark hadn't stepped onto a competitive court in 8 long months, 8 months away from real game action. First it was a groin issue, then a leg problem, and later an ankle setback. Her second WNBA season had been interrupted again and again, limiting her to just 13 games before everything suddenly went quiet. So when she finally returned to the court for Team USA against Senegal, there was a huge question hanging in the air. No one truly knew what version of Caitlin Clark they were about to see. Would the long break slow her down? Would she look rusty? Would it take time for her to rediscover that rhythm that made her one of the most electrifying players in basketball? Clark didn't start the game. She came off the bench, but it didn't take long for everyone to realize something special was happening. Boys, in just 19 minutes on the floor, she completely flipped the narrative. By the time the final whistle blew, Caitlin Clark had shattered 5 FIBA world records. Not 1, not 2, 5. And she did it in her very first game back, coming off the bench.
Better offense.
We've got 5 new players checked in for Team USA, and if you can hear the crowd, Caitlin Clark checks in to her first minutes as a senior USA national team player. There's a lot of fans here for Caitlin Clark. I see signs, I see Indiana jerseys, I see Iowa jerseys. One of the most influential women's basketball players that we've seen, and she's here right now getting her first minutes in FIBA International.
Let's talk about what she actually did out there.
Let's break down exactly what Caitlin Clark delivered on the court that night. She finished the game with 17 points and 12 assists, but those numbers alone don't fully capture how impressive the performance really was. Here's the part that truly stands out. During the entire first half, Clark didn't commit a single turnover, not one. She controlled the game with precision, racking up 8 assists before halftime while keeping the ball completely secure. Think about that for a moment. 8 assists in just one half, and not once did the defense manage to take the ball away from her. When FIBA officials reviewed the historical records, they realized something remarkable. No player from any nation in any qualifying match had ever recorded that many assists in a single half. And the player who finally broke that mark, Caitlin Clark, doing it in her very first competitive game after an 8-month absence.
Level basketball.
Ryan Howard back to Clark. Clark into Irfin, and Irfin off the glass. The ball.
And the assist numbers become even more impressive when you look at the bigger picture. Clark's 12 assists didn't just help her team win, they placed her at the top of the record books. That total is now the highest number of assists ever recorded in a Team USA senior national team debut. But it doesn't stop there. Across the entire FIBA landscape, no player from any country has ever delivered that many assists in their senior national team debut. Clark instantly set a new global standard the moment she stepped onto the floor. Her performance also ranks as the second highest assist total ever recorded in the history of FIBA qualifying tournaments. And to make it even more unbelievable, she now holds the record for the most assists ever by a player coming off the bench in FIBA history. 5 historic milestones, 1 game, and she did it all in just 19 minutes on the court.
19 minutes.
The 5-in, 5-out substitution pattern, Danilo, what does that say about the depth of this team when you have Caitlin Clark coming off the bench?
That's a easy shot for her deep three.
The lineup Kara Lawson rolled out in the second quarter completely changed the energy of the game, with Caitlin Clark running the point alongside Ryan Howard, Kelsey Plum, Kiki Iriafen, and Monique Billings. The pace suddenly looked different. The ball was moving faster, the spacing was cleaner, and the chemistry on the floor was impossible to miss. Even Lawson acknowledged it afterward. Once, she openly admitted that group took Team USA to another level. Those were her exact words. The unit brought a new intensity and rhythm that instantly elevated the entire team. What makes it even more remarkable is that Clark wasn't even in the starting lineup, yet despite coming off the bench, she was clearly the most impactful player on the court. That's more than just an impressive debut, that's a player returning after 8 months away from competitive basketball and immediately reminding everyone why the spotlight has been on her from the start. It's exactly why FIBA placed her front and center in the tournament's marketing campaigns. No other player on the roster received that kind of attention, and there's a simple reason for it. Caitlin Clark brings the audience. She's the player casual fans tune in to watch. She's the reason arenas suddenly feel packed and energized. FIBA understood it, the fans already knew it, and after the Senegal game, the numbers backed it up.
Finding the right player.
Clark over to Billings, and Clark, although she's the NCAA all-time leading scorer, she is an assist machine. The offensive rebound gives the USA another chance. Angel Reese makes the most of it, and that's Caitlin Clark's 9 assists.
Heading into the matchup against Puerto Rico, the storyline was pretty clear. Caitlin Clark had just stepped onto the international stage and shattered 5 FIBA records in only 19 minutes of play. On top of that, she was leading the most efficient lineup Team USA had on the floor, and the entire basketball world was watching. At that point, there was no longer any doubt about whether Clark was ready for this moment. She had already answered that question against Senegal, and she did it before most players had even settled into the game, so the focus shifted to something else entirely. The real question became how Kara Lawson and the coaching staff planned to use her moving forward. Would they let Clark fully control the pace and run the offense? Would they design the system around the playmaking ability she had just put on display? Or would they look at a stat line of 12 assists with 0 turnovers and decide the obvious, that the ball should be in her hands as much as possible?
Impatient, find the right shot.
Caitlin Clark's got the ball over to Beckers. Beckers sets up the 3, and it's nothing but net.
By the time Team USA faced Puerto Rico the following day, the atmosphere inside the arena was buzzing. The crowd was packed in, and the energy in the building felt different. Everywhere you looked, people were waiting to see Caitlin Clark take the floor. A cameraman stayed locked onto her throughout the night, capturing every step she took. The excitement around her was impossible to ignore. In fact, even the daughter of Puerto Rico's head coach showed up in the stands, proudly holding a sign supporting Clark. It was clear the crowd had come to witness her play. The attention, the anticipation, the spotlight, it was all centered on one player. But once the game actually tipped off, things didn't unfold the way many people expected, and that's exactly where this story takes an unexpected turn.
Exciting as that first Team USA game was, this one was almost completely in the other direction as far as how ugly it was. The US squad just out of sync, top to bottom. Kara Lawson's experimenting with lineups and different combinations.
Now let's look at what truly unfolded during that Puerto Rico matchup. Yes, Puerto Rico came out with a tough defensive approach. They used a zone, applied heavy pressure, and tried to disrupt the rhythm of Team USA's offense. It definitely made the game more challenging, but the defense itself wasn't the biggest issue. The real trouble started elsewhere, and it came from the decisions being made on the Team USA bench.
And jealousy meets envy, you get what you saw last night. Caitlin Clark being shunned out of the game, iced out of the game, ignored, teammates refusing to pass her the ball, We got Angel Reese taking it coast to coast. Caitlin Clark right next to her, refusing to give her the ball, going, pushing, giving it to Dearica Hamby, and the ball it's a turnover. What we saw yesterday was the definition of jealousy.
Kalia Copper took the floor and immediately started playing a heavy isolation style. And not just occasionally, this was full-on hero ball. She held onto the ball, created shots off the dribble, and repeatedly drove straight into crowded lanes, trying to force something to happen. The strange part was what was happening around her. Caitlin Clark was often left wide open on the perimeter, ready for the pass, but the ball never came her way. It wasn't a one-time moment either. It kept happening again and again. The smooth, quick ball movement that made the Senegal game look so effortless was nowhere to be found. Instead of sharp passes and smart cuts creating open looks, Team USA's offense slowed to a crawl. Possessions turned into long, stagnant half-court sets that struggled to produce anything. And Clark, the same player who had just led the team's most effective lineup the day before, was mostly left on the outside, watching the offense unfold without her involvement.
Copper, this is horrible. 3 people on you. Caitlin Clark is wide open. Don't pass her the ball. Caitlin Clark with a great block, and then Caitlin Clark with a great steal. They'll say she doesn't play defense, so I threw in some defensive highlights, and then she gets hit in the head. Why is it always her head that's getting hit? In every game she's ever.
Then there was Angel Reese, and this is where fans really started paying close attention. Viewers watching the game live noticed it almost immediately. There were several possessions where Caitlin Clark was clearly open, and the obvious basketball decision would have been to get the ball to her. But the pass never came. This didn't happen just once as a simple mistake. It occurred multiple times throughout the game, and each moment became harder for fans to ignore. Before the quarter had even ended, clips of those sequences were already spreading across social media. People were replaying the moments, pointing them out. And the reactions online quickly turned intense. Fans were frustrated, and the discussion exploded almost instantly.
So we running 5v3 right now, right? We 5v3, so we have numbers. If we just figured out what was going on right here, we would have been in good shape. But with this confusion, Caitlin slowing down so Angel can cross, we allowed the defense to get back into position. Now, the thing is, Puerto Rico was running a pretty nice zone in the second quarter, late in the second quarter. And honestly, the best way to beat any type of defense is to keep them on their heels when you get a rebound or you get a steal, turning the defense into offense. That's the best way to beat.
Caitlin Clark's response to all of this wasn't flashy. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't make a scene. In fact, her reaction spoke far louder than any words ever could. When Clark came back onto the floor, she didn't even glance at Angel Reese. No nod, no eye contact, no acknowledgement at all. Just a steady focus straight ahead. That wasn't accidental. It was the unmistakable body language of a player who's seen enough and isn't pretending otherwise. Calm, composed, and fully aware of the situation around her.
Clip right here had me rolling a little bit. Now, this is in the second quarter, okay? Mind you, the second quarter. We're gonna go right back into what happened in the first quarter, right? So Caitlin coming out, giving some daps, right? Bang, bang, bang. Let's go team, let's go team. Boom, smack Mo. And we were waiting on Angel, and nah, man. Hey, look.
But the story didn't end on the court. After the game, a reporter went straight to Kara Lawson with a direct question about Caitlin Clark, and Lawson simply refused to answer. This wasn't a vague team-first deflection or a polite pivot to another topic. It was a clear, flat-out refusal to address Clark specifically. Instead, Lawson spoke about being in fact-finding mode and needing to experiment with different lineups, a statement that felt surprising, to say the least. After all, the day before, Clark had already broken 5 FIBA records. The facts were there for everyone to see: 17 points, 12 assists, 19 minutes played, 0 turnovers. At that point, what exactly was left to investigate?
Played very, very hard, and they played hard the entire time. They challenged us with their effort, and I thought they made a lot of hustle plays to create baskets for themselves. And this was more of an uneven game for us on both ends. We talked about it as a team, and I thought we had some good spots, but I also thought we had some rough spots, and that's good. It's good to have rust spots sometimes. You're able to kind of figure some things out. And
then there's Stephanie White sitting right there on the bench. White is Caitlin Clark's head coach with the Indiana Fever. The same Stephanie White who spent the entire last WNBA season trying to get Clark to slow down her game and play off the ball. Fever fans witnessed it all season long. And White's coaching approach with Clark consistently pushes her away from being the primary playmaker, limits her decision making, and keeps her from controlling the tempo. This isn't rumor or speculation. It's exactly what fans saw unfold game after game. And now, that very same philosophy was present on the Team USA bench during a matchup where Clark was being effectively frozen out of the offense.
See all the publicity Caitlin Clark's getting today? Did you see the news? Everybody's talking about Caitlin Clark. We can't have that. The transition offense, Caitlin Clark making passes that nobody in the league has ever seen before. We can't have that. Slow it down, Carol Lawson. Switch it up. We got to make everybody else shine. We don't want her. Everybody else needs to shine. Today's night, it's going to be Paige's night and Angel's night. Yeah. What a brutal game, folks. What a brutal.
Let's break this down clearly. On one hand, you've got Kalia Copper refusing to move the ball. Then there's Angel Reese repeatedly ignoring Clark when she was wide open. On top of that, the head coach won't even say Clark's name in the post-game interview. And adding to it, an assistant coach, Stephanie White, spent an entire WNBA season coaching Clark into a smaller, less central role. And any one of these issues on its own might be understandable, but all four happening in the same game, the day after Clark shattered 5 FIBA records. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. When you actually review the game footage, the difference is striking. Every time Clark touched the ball compared to every stretch she didn't, the contrast isn't subtle. It's glaring. Here's the point. Watching these two games back to back tells you everything about what Clark brings to this offense. Against Senegal, the ball moved effortlessly. Clark would push it up the court, read the defense before it even fully formed, and locate cutters that her teammates hadn't even realized were open yet. She's not just a scorer, she's the engine that makes everything run. Ryan Howard was finishing layups off passes from Clark that looked almost effortless. And Kiki Iriafen was scoring in the paint without having to create a thing for herself. That's the impact Clark has. She stretches the entire floor simply by being on it. Defenders have to respect her shot, her drive, her pull-up jumper, and that attention opens up space everywhere else. The offense flows naturally when she's in control, creating opportunities that wouldn't exist without her presence. Against Senegal, the team moved like a well-oiled machine, with her orchestrating the floor. But against Puerto Rico, that magic vanished. Team USA was trudging the ball up the court, running stagnant half-court sets that went nowhere. The ball wasn't moving, no one was cutting with purpose, and the fast break game that made Senegal look easy completely disappeared. Yes, even Clark admitted afterward that the offense felt a little clunky, and honestly, that's putting it lightly compared to the chaotic, stagnant play that was happening out there.
Point guard. She's not looking Caitlin Clark's way one time, deliberately not passing her the ball. And
the plus minus from the Senegal game tells the story in one simple number. Clark played just 19 minutes off the bench and finished with a plus 35. That second quarter lineup with her running the point wasn't just good, it was by far the most dominant unit on the floor. And when she wasn't on the court, the numbers dropped sharply. This isn't coincidence. It's not some small sample fluke. The data confirms exactly what anyone watching could see with their own eyes. So what does clunky actually look like in real time? It looks like Kalia Copper catching the ball on the wing and holding it while the defense recovers. It looks like half-court possessions dragging on with zero movement. It looks like passes going sideways instead of forward. Against Senegal, Clark turned defensive pressure into fast breaks. Teams tried to trap her, and she used it against them, pushing the ball ahead before the defense even had a chance to rotate. Against Puerto Rico, none of that happened. The offense was slow, stagnant, and completely disconnected from start to finish. Here's the real concern. Puerto Rico is not Spain. Puerto Rico is not Italy. The teams coming up in this tournament are disciplined, athletic, and run defensive schemes that can punish a slow, stagnant half-court offense. Puerto Rico's zone was enough to show just how much Team USA's rhythm depends on Clark pushing the pace. Against a more structured, disciplined team, that same approach could do serious damage. You can't just walk the ball up the court against Spain and hope Copper can bail you out with mid-range pull-ups. At this level, that's not a winning strategy. Every time Clark touched the ball against Puerto Rico, good things happened. Kickouts, drives that drew fouls, skip passes that forced the defense to rotate. Every possession where the offense ran without her controlling the tempo looked like a completely different team. Slower, disconnected, players moving in slightly different patterns and hoping something worked. The tape tells the story clearly. Clark touches the ball, the offense pulses with energy. Clark stands on the perimeter while Copper dribbles into a double team. The offense flatlines. It's undeniable.
Brianna Jones. Caitlin Clark gets in the passing lane, goes coast to coast for the and one opportunity. Makes the layup off the glass. She asked her teammates, did that go in? Now she gets a chance at the foul line. She wanted the intentional. I think she got hit in the head there, but let's take another look. Caitlin Clark jumps the passing lane, coast to coast. Let's see. Oh, the referee got in the way to see that.
Kara Lawson saw everything unfold on the court, and yet, after the game, she still wouldn't even say Clark's name. So after all of it, the freeze out, the ball hogging, the coach refusing to address her directly, Caitlin Clark finally spoke. And what she said was exactly the opposite of what most people might expect after going through all of that. She called the offense clunky, noted Puerto Rico's zone, mentioned that the pace was off, and said the team would figure it out. That was it. No shots fired, no names called, no trace of the frustration that anyone watching could feel on her behalf. Just a calm, collected, team-first response from a player who had every reason to react differently, and yet chose to rise above it all.
I feel like some of the mistakes that you guys made was something that Puerto Rico was doing, or were some of them also a little self-inflicted?
I think it was mostly self-inflicted. I thought we missed some defensive coverages, and then I think especially with how much we fouled too, like it really limits us, especially in transition when we want to play fast. And, it's hard to push, especially off of the main free throws when we're sitting in the press.
It was obviously a big win by a large margin for Team USA, but what can you say about what you saw about Team Puerto Rico tonight?
Yeah, I thought they played with a lot of fire. I thought they were aggressive. I thought the crowd was incredible. The fans were great, so certainly fun to watch.
Now think about what was really happening in that arena. Copper was holding onto the ball, forcing shots, making sure she stayed in control. Reese was running plays that conveniently left Clark standing alone on the perimeter. Lawson was dodging every direct question about one of the most watched players in women's basketball. And yet, Clark stepped up to the microphone and spoke about nothing more than the team needing to find its rhythm. No hidden agenda, no politics, no self-protection, just the team.
I think taking care of the ball is probably going to be our main focus. I think we could have moved the ball a bit better. I don't know how many assists we had, but I thought we could have probably passed the ball a little bit better. I think about these games, the paint was really clogged, and we want to get easy finishes at the rim, but I think also getting the paint and be ready to kick it out. I think that's what we do.
And would you say that it was due to Puerto Rico's defense or just offense not following?
Puerto Rico did a great job, but also
that contrast tells the entire story. Everyone else in that moment was focused on themselves. Clark was the only one in the room thinking and talking about winning, and she did it after being frozen out, after watching the offense collapse without her at the helm, after sitting through a post-game where even her own coach refused to acknowledge the historic performance she delivered just a day earlier.
Kara talked about doing different lineups, different rotations to test out that chemistry. Just how did you feel tonight, yesterday, with all those different rotations?
I think it's going to be a work in progress with everybody trying to kind of find the flow a little bit, especially when we're going 5 in, 5 out. But, you got to be flexible. That's kind of what USA basketball is all about. Some games you're going to play less, some games you're not going to play as much. You might come off the bench, you might start. So you got to be ready when your number's called. I think everybody's done a good job of that. And we don't even know the starting lineup until we're in the locker room before the game. So you just get ready and go out.
So what does all of this really reveal about Caitlin Clark? Because it would have been so easy for her to take a subtle jab, one raised eyebrow, a carefully worded answer, and let the internet amplify it. She didn't. Instead, she stayed focused on the zone. Talked about the team finding its rhythm and kept her composure. That level of poise is rare, especially in a situation this intense. But here's the reality. Her calmness doesn't solve the underlying issues. Kara Lawson is still in fact-finding mode. Stephanie White is still on the bench with her off-ball system ready to influence the game. And the stronger opponents coming up on Team USA's schedule won't be nearly as easy to handle as Puerto Rico. The problems that showed up in that game won't magically fix themselves just because Clark is handling it gracefully in public. All of this experience will come back with her to Indianapolis for the 2026 Fever season. She now has a full picture of what it looks like when a system tries to limit her impact. She saw it with Team USA. She lived it last season under Stephanie White. And she's heading back with a point to prove. Though honestly, she shouldn't have to prove it at this stage. The truth is simple. The team plays better when she runs the offense. The right decision is just to let her do it. If Lawson figures that out before the tournament ends, Team USA could become genuinely terrifying. That second quarter lineup against Senegal showed exactly what's possible when Clark has the keys, and there's no reason that can't be the standard for every game moving forward. The talent is there. The record books confirm it, and Clark just spent an entire post-game proving she won't be a distraction along the way. Drop a comment below and let me know if you think Team USA will start giving Caitlin Clark the respect and freedom she deserves. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. On and click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.